Inside Foos presents FoosTalk Live. What a year it's been! With everything that's happened in Foosball, not to mention life, it's time to press rewind. It's FoosTalk Live.
You talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking Foosball.
Foosball was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live.
Brought to you by InsideFoos.com. Offering monthly subscriptions with access to some of the most exciting matches ever recorded. Plus live tournaments, pre- and post-show analysis, interviews, and original programming. Sign up now at InsideFoos.com. Also brought to you by ProtectoFlex, the world's premier safety accessory. Go to protecto-flex.com. Brought to you by 518 Prints, one of the best printers of promotional items, t-shirts, hoodies, and foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com. Brought to you by Foosballers, the movie. This Joe Hessling of Foosball documentary is now available as a worldwide download at foosballersthemovie.com. Also brought to you by the United States Table Soccer Organization, the USTSO, helping to usher in a new era of competitive foosball. Become a member at usafoosball.com. And brought to you by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through school systems all over the United States. Visit foosballclubsusa.com to make a donation today.
Welcome to episode 76 of FoosTalk Live. This week, we decided to press rewind and remember the highlights of the past year. We'll hear from Ryan Moore, Dana Marr, Mike Bowers, Cindy Head, as well as the top families of foosball with names like Yor, Adkison, and Rue. We will also reflect on the return of major competitions, plus the new voices added to FoosTalk Live. Sit back and enjoy episode 76 of FoosTalk Live as we rewind and remember. First, let's revisit our chat with Ryan Moore from episode 25.
What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm here.
There he is.
Hey, Ryan.
We caught you off guard,
How's it
didn't we?
going?
I thought I'd give you a nice ramp up there so you could be ready to jump in.
Sorry, man. Yeah, I was just finishing up on the toilet.
As I recall, the first time we had a chance to chat with you, you had to finish up a cinnamon bun. So at least it's now it's just the other end. That's cool.
Check, please.
So Ryan, welcome to FoosTalk Live, man. How you doing? It's been a while. Congratulations on your new family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. It's been quite the ride, but yet really calm, with all of everything going on. So it's been
Sure.
I've been able to be super busy and quiet at the same time.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I mean, as far as your day-to-day work, things are still humming along.
Yeah, I'm as busy as I've ever been. And really, what's awesome about being an entrepreneur is I do set my own schedule. So, if the wife needs help or if,
Sure.
I got stuff that does come up, it's not the end of the world for me. I don't have a 9 to 5, but I work more than just about anybody that does have a 9 to 5. So
describe.
yeah, it's pretty sweet, man.
Very cool. So describe for us now that you are our new parent, quote unquote. What exactly what has changed in your life since the big event?
I give credit to my wife. She is, she's a stay-at-home mom. She does everything with Foos gear. So
Yes.
I'm only helping her right now because she's actually in Europe with my son, visiting her family, and they're getting to see him for the first time, actually. So
Wow.
it's kind of nuts. But Corona did that to him. But she has really allowed me to not only not change my direction and what I'm doing, but allow me to even get further into it, which is, was my goals. So I've actually ramped up. I've expanded my companies more than I ever have this last year.
Wow.
It's really funny because at the very beginning of the year, like I was getting super inspired. I had just had a kid. I'm like, all right, I got to make a world for our family. We're already talking about kid number 2. We got to figure things out. And I put a post on Facebook, and I started laughing the other day. I was talking to somebody about it. I said, make 2020 the year that dictates the rest of your life.
Yes.
Like get inspired. And I'm like, oh God, I think I might want to delete that now. That's the absolute worst post
actually,
ever.
it's
So
apropos
when
though.
that comes up in my time hop, I'm gonna probably share it and just put a laugh out there.
No, it's actually apropos though in a way, because people are we've seen how bad things can be. Now we can look forward to, things getting much, much better, especially in foosball.
Yeah. And 2020 has been, actually a very prosperous year. I've been very blessed
Okay.
to, be in the industry that I'm in, as it actually, everything doubled and tripled. Everybody, was off work, and, a lot of people were obviously consuming more cannabis than normal. And,
Sure.
it was a really good year. And, I have a team that's super solid, and, we have challenges too with Corona, just like everybody else, as far as like how our business model, our SOPs, things we had to change. We had to spend a lot more money. But it's been a heck of a year. Like I said, we're expanding everywhere, and hopefully trying to bring on a couple new states here, the end of this year, or the beginning of next year.
Well, it looks like New York State might be one of your next customers over the next year. It looks like the talk is that the governor of our state is definitely going to make this happen in the next year. So,
Well, you can only hope so, Tom, right?
well, hey.
Ryan, and I can kind of relate as someone who runs a business, who has kids, and both of us, you and I and everyone else in the foosball world, are not really doing tournaments, at least for the last 6 months. How has this time really allowed you maybe to focus more on your business, on your family? And I know with 2 children, second coming, I think, still, right? Is that right? Iveta is.
Yes.
But how is this time? I mean, if you were traveling to tournaments and doing all that, it may have taken away a little bit from your business, from your family life. But because of that, it's allowed you to focus, as you say, more on your business. And of course, in this COVID time, what you do comes in handy for a lot of folks. And so, but also your family as well. How has this allowed you to really focus on those things without having to worry too much about foosball beyond your business, Foos Gear, your secondary business?
Yeah, exactly. It's been awesome, man. And like I said, I'm probably the luckiest guy I know, and I'm blessed for that. But yeah, not only I wanted to take some time off when my kid came. He did come 2.5 weeks early, so it kind of threw a little curveball because I wasn't quite ready. So I spent some time with him, and then I started going. You know what? I can run all my companies straight from my house. And obviously still be able to do a ton of stuff. Just really on a computer is my main job. And so yeah, at the beginning of the year, I was able to actually, be here every single day, which almost nobody has that kind of luxury when their kids are born. They maybe get 2 weeks leave, and then they have to go right back to work. Sometimes both parents. So we're literally able to be with him all day, every day. I get to watch him grow up, get to watch him take his first step, first rollover, first crawl, first dad. I mean, it's been kind of a amazing experience, but
shooting a rollover already. Wow.
Yeah, and at the same time, not missing a beat on my companies, my expansion plan, and actually propelling even faster, being able to work kind of silent and by myself, and not having so much noise around me by being with teams and stuff. So, yeah, the whole coronavirus definitely stopped foosball, and not many knew about this. I told close people, but after Worlds, I was like, I had the baby on the way, all this and that, companies and the whole nine. I said, I'm taking about a year break. I said, I'll see you guys at Worlds next year. And I was actually going to go to Vegas. It was the only tournament because Yvette wanted to show the baby off. But COVID really did, obviously freeze the world. And it really was a blessing for me because, I didn't have to do anything besides what I needed to get done. So I needed a break from foosball, and I actually just played last night, and I had a blast, and I haven't had that much fun playing foosball in a long time, just because I've been so focused on other things. So yeah, it's been a very quiet but prosperous year. So
Let's talk a little bit about the fun factor for you. And I know it's an issue. I know it's important. You've got to be having fun when you're playing. That's why oftentimes we'll see you start to do the slingshots. I know how much you enjoy playing goalie. But it's got to be, you got to have some fun, don't you? By being creative, by playing goalie, by doing different things. And even in finals, sometimes we see you go with the rollerball type stuff because it's important to have fun. You mentioned having fun last night at the tournament there in Oklahoma. But it's important to have fun. Maybe that's a lesson that all of us can learn to make sure that we have fun on the table along with competing. But fun is important to you, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's everything, man. Foosball has been my entire life, and it really still is. I mean, it still plays into every single aspect of my life as far as competition and learning how to win and learning how to lose. And so, when I play foosball, let's go back to like 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, when I was pretty much at my prime is what I would consider that time. And, not only was I financially driven from foosball, but man, did I love the competition. I loved being a contender. I loved being one of the top players. All of a sudden I was, just a good player to one of the best in the world. And it was amazing, and and then I started plateauing a little bit. I started I already won my open singles title, doubles, mixed, the whole nine, World Cup, all that. And I started doing a business. And then I started putting all my love and all my energy into that business. And so it did take a little bit away. And then I got stuck in a rock and a hard place where I still love this game, no matter what. Even if it doesn't look like it, I still love it. I still want to play it. That's why I show up. That's why I'm there. But I still didn't give that extra bit that you have to give to win. These guys, they're there to break your neck. And if you're not giving it your all, then you're just not going to win. So for me, that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head. I sometimes I revert to, instead of just trying to win, I'll go, you know what? I'm going to win and have the most fun I can possibly do it. And sometimes it turns me into an absolute animal, and sometimes it makes me lose. So, well,
yeah. I often say that foosball is our martial art. For me in particular, I think foosball has taught me more about life, about how to deal with tight situations, with clutch situations, how to be in the moment. Foosball has taught us a lot of things. I could only imagine you, a guy who's such a competitor, such a smart player, a guy who makes great adjustments, a guy who is always prepared, how that has translated over to business. Would you say that the lessons that you have learned during the course of your foosball career, your growth as a foosball player, immediately translated over to business? A lot of the things you learned in foosball, you applied to your business side. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
Single-handedly, foosball has made me exactly where I'm at in business. And the way one of the biggest things that you didn't actually touch base on was confidence. Because I'm able to take a challenge in foosball. I wasn't the best at one time. And because I was able to take that challenge and turn it into a reality to be one of the best players, to win a world title, it showed me that I can do anything I ever possibly want to, as long as I just put my mind to it. And we've all heard the saying 1,000 times, but yeah, you're exactly right. When I fail, I look at that as a growth. It's the same thing. When I used to get beaten foosball and I was up and coming player, I would know exactly why I got beat. And I wouldn't let it happen again. Well, it's the same thing. You make a mistake in business, you're not going to make that same mistake again. You're going to find a way to fix it. So that would be an adjustment in the business world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's single-handedly the only reason why I am where I am today. If I didn't play foosball, I don't think I'd have nearly this kind of drive and success.
Next, from episode 38, we chatted with the legendary Dana Marr.
You're listening to FoosTalk Live on a Sunday night, January 10th, 2021. We're joined by, of course, the outstanding goalie from Northern California, Dana Marr. Dana, a guy that began his career in the 80s and then on through the 90s into the 2000s, the 2010s, where you've had some success. Looking back on your career, what in your mind is your biggest win, your biggest moment in your individual career? What is the one thing you look back on and say, I am the most proud of that achievement in the sport of table soccer?
I do have one. It's not that big of a moment, but it meant a ton to me at the time. Thor and I were playing in the California State Championships, and we were the defending champions. And we were in the finals against Dan Drexler and Garrett. And again, this is back in the day when there's no extra time. When it comes down to 4-all-5th, it's all over at that point. The next point wins. And this was a dynamo table, and I'd been shooting a pull shot the entire tournament from the back, and mostly trying to feed the ball to Thor with a little pull kick here and there, just my usual stuff. And Thor was struggling at that point. 4-all-5th game, I set it up for a pull shot on the 2-bar, and I pulled it almost over to the near wall, and I shot the inside bank, which broke their zone, went through the 5-bar, and scored. And I didn't even know what to do at that point. Those guys were reaching over the table to shake hands. Thor was hugging me. I didn't know what was going on. I just know that we had won the tournament, and I did it from the back.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thor didn't have to carry. I did it on my own. So that was one of my proudest moments ever.
That's
awesome. I got a comment and then a question for you, Dana. My comment is, so Dana tried to develop me, and he was a mentor for me. It was unfortunately, it was during a time when I was already coming out. I was going into college, and I was not coachable. But Dana tried anyway, because I was what was in his
You're
spirit was yeah, he was trying to help players that could improve. And we look for teachable moments, Dana. And I want to go back to one thing briefly. When you talked about the unmasking, we have a lot of expert and amateur players that listen to the show and look for those tidbits. And I think the one thing that I learned from Dana that was great was that I used to come up to a table as an amateur, and if I was playing or a pro or a master player, I made the assumption that they did everything and did everything well. And it was Dana who tried to make me understand that not only do masters and pros at any level have natural weaknesses, they have situational weaknesses. So that on this particular Saturday, they may be favoring the pull side versus the push side, because on this particular Saturday, it's what's working for them and they don't have confidence in it. And what Dana is able to do, because he's methodical about his approach, he's able to create an algorithm and narrow it down. And he spoke to this earlier. What's the nuance? What am I seeing? And very rapidly, within the course of a handful of possessions, he's able to say, this guy's down, has an issue this weekend, and I'm going to give that to him, and it's going to give me that block I need to feed. That's a critical thing for rookies, amateurs, and experts to understand about advanced goalie play.
Huge.
Identify the weakness, you can do it, and believe in it. And then you go a step further with someone like Lewis. Lewis will make up stuff that he believes in that doesn't even exist. Lewis still listening? So Lewis will tell you someone has a tell that doesn't even exist, but he believes it so strongly, it's a reality for him. That's a whole nother universe.
He's out
but
there,
Dana,
Mark.
he left. I want to focus. I want to focus on one thing with you, Dana. The international play and the World Cup play, and all the tournaments that are happening overseas that ingratiate themselves to the Americans coming over and qualifying for them. I love seeing the elder statesmen like you and Ken Alwell. And in my romantic mind, you guys qualify and go play and still represent the United States. Is that something you ever think about, playing in the World Cup?
It's funny that you say that, Mark, because I qualified, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago I qualified. And let me say this first. I quit playing the game. I continued to play the game after it was no longer fun for me because of the friends. I would go to tournaments to see my friends. But Adrian and I played and we qualified. And I qualified to go and play in I think it was Nantes. I'm not sure, but I did qualify. And at the time, it was kind of a big deal to me. But the more I thought about it and the more I realized what a big deal it was to other people, I kind of realized that all I was doing was taking up a spot with a mediocre attitude from somebody that really, really had the desire to go there and play. Now, looking back on it, I don't think it was a good choice. I miss the experience, especially when I hear my friends talk about it, Adrian in particular, and Rob. I wish I would have made the decision to commit and go there, but it just wasn't in the cards. And I felt like I was taking a spot away from somebody who deserved it a little bit more than me. If I had it to do over again, I probably would have jumped on that plane just for the experience. But yeah, it's definitely one of my regrets, that I never got to be a part of that.
There's still time for you, though.
Yeah.
Still time for you, maybe to qualify for the senior team and just to experience that whole experience of international play. Just a few minutes left here tonight. I wanted to bring up back, I don't know whether it was 1998 or so, you did some interviews for us with Tournament Soccer, or rather with Inside Foods.
Yeah, that was a great time, Jim. I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Yeah, it was fun. I think it was down in Atlanta, and he was interviewing people, all the big stars. We've got interviews with Terry Moore and others, and that was something you kind of embraced, something you were interested in. You were interested in doing other things besides playing foosball. I know you also did it. You handled the camera for us down at the Super Doubles event in Austin. Deep in the Pits is something that I know you participated in, and that was something that really interested you, really before social media, before YouTube, etc. Talk a little bit about your experiences with that.
Well, the whole thing that started that, Jim, was I was kind of like, I had played foosball with these guys for years, but I realized that I didn't know what any of them did outside of foosball. I had no idea that Dave Gummison was, a manager at Target. I didn't know that Cindy Head was a cop. I didn't know any of that stuff, and I just found it fascinating. Steve Biney, like, you walked a beat in a terrible part of town, and that kind of thing was fascinating to me. So I figured that it would be equally as interesting to the other people, that see these guys 3-4 times a year at majors, don't really know anything about them other than their foosball game. And I just thought it was kind of cool to have them open up a little bit and talk about something, along with foosball, but part of their personal lives too, how they made their money, what else did they do for fun, It was interesting to me to find out.
Yeah, and it was really good and a lot of fun for all of us who watched it. As we wind things down, you guys got anything else for Dana tonight?
Well, first of all, I'm just you've answered just about every question I was going to ask you to begin with. So thanks for anticipating, Dana. Appreciate that. I always want to ask other goalies, especially masters like yourself, like the top 3 mistakes that rookies make in the goal. But you already did that, so yeah. I'm good. Yeah.
Probably one of the biggest mistakes that goalies make is moving both rods at the same time.
Okay.
A good goalie will only move one rod at a time, unless it's the Louis shuffle. Really, only one rod moves, and the reason for that is because once somebody becomes a good shooter, part of being a good shooter is having good timing. So if you're going to move both rods at the same time, it's just so much easier to time rather than moving one.
Sure.
And then, of course, incorporating a flick in there along with the movement too. But I think that's one of the biggest mistakes. The biggest, in my opinion, is something that Mark already touched on, and that's being in position, over blocking. There's no reason to never want your man to be completely in front of the ball. You only want a part of that ball to hit the edge of your foot, so that it can't go in the goal.
Okay.
But that's definitely the biggest mistake is guys are out of position. And the sad thing about it is there's graphics on the table that I could show you in a matter of 5 minutes, the way that the arc works with the dead man's.
Okay.
And the way that the goalie box works with the foot of the goalie. And there's just some graphics on the table that will allow you to be in position all the time.
Interesting.
And it's very, very simple.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Lewis came back to ask one more thing, or maybe get one more last dig in. Lewis?
If he's going to ask me to play, is he going to ask me to play finally?
Yeah. Actually, Dana, I would play with you in the senior thing at the World Cup. But anyway, I know they're running out of time. The other question I had earlier, didn't you play forward for a year on tour? And if you did, who was it with and why did you do it? I faintly remember that. I remember you passed extremely well on me when you played forward.
I don't remember who. Nagy played goalie for me for a little while, but I don't remember doing it out on tour as much as locally. I think that some of the things that you're remembering might have been like tournaments, or maybe when you came to our part of town. But I only did it for a little while. And there was only a few people that would actually take me on as a forward because I was really known as a goalie. That tournament that I won in Cal with Dan Casey, I asked the guy for 2 weeks to play with me. And I was not going to play in the tournament. The day before the tournament, he finally said yes. And I want to say we played Adrian in the finals of that. And, there was something more satisfying to me about winning the goal. There's you don't get the recognition, but anybody who knows about sports knows that defense wins matches. Even though it's not as obvious on the table, it's always what has won matches.
Now, return with us to our chat with Mike Bowers in episode 45.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you clear. Welcome to
Okay, cool.
Welcome to
I'm
FoosTalk
here.
Live. Yeah. Glad you could make it.
Hey, Bowie, good to hear from you, buddy. How
Yeah,
are you?
great to be here. My 70th birthday is next month or in April, so
Whoa.
I'm very glad to be here.
Happy birthday. Yeah, absolutely. Every day's a bonus, right?
There you go.
Yeah, man. So, first of all, we always have to begin with the traditions of any guest of your stature on this talk show. It's all about finding out your origins. Now, first of all, do you recall the first time you ever saw a foosball table? Where was it, and what kind of table was it that you were playing on?
Well, I'd seen them in my early years, but I had never really played on them. And then,
Really?
so excuse me, when I went to college, I walked into my fraternity one night, and they were taking a vote on whether to put a foosball table in the basement.
A vote.
A vote. You have to vote on everything in these fraternities.
Right.
And so it was a unanimous vote to put a foosball table in.
Nice.
And it was a foosball match table.
Mm.
And it was the first time I'd really got on a table and played. And I got toasted by one of my fraternity brothers who had grown up in Europe and had played foosball all the time.
Aha.
And right that instant, I didn't like the balls going into my goal. I didn't like that. And so the next thing you know, I'm playing foosball 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours,
No
10
kidding.
hours. And I'm obsessive compulsive with it. I'm infatuated with it, with this
Wow.
game. Okay, now there was no tournaments. There was no promoters out there throwing big tournaments. There was nothing. There was barely local tournament.
Huh.
But somehow I still loved that game.
Now, where were you going to school, by the way? What fraternity and what
University of Colorado.
Gotcha. Okay.
Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity.
Gotcha.
And so about 1 week into playing, here comes one of the friends of one of the fraternity brothers, and he goes, "There's a foosball tournament in 2 weeks at Giuseppe's on the hill."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm rapidly improving. Okay, now this is how arrogant and stupid I was. I was looking at winning that tournament.
Nice.
Okay, I've been playing for a week, so I started playing more and more. And me and one of the other fraternity brothers goes down there, and by God, we get second.
Really?
We get second in the tournament. Yeah, I'm 3 weeks into my foosball career.
How many players?
And I'm going, huh?
How many players
There
were
was
there?
probably about, I'm going to say 20 to 30 teams.
No kidding. And you came in second?
Yeah, came in second right out of the gate.
Man.
And so then a few weeks go by, they have another tournament there. This time I think I'm going to win because I've been practicing with the guy who won, and I know I'm beating him.
Yeah.
So
Geez.
I show up again in about 3 weeks, and I'm playing with my same buddy. And we make it to the final against 2 Arabs, 2 Libyans.
Really?
Yeah. And this guy sets up a push kick on me, and I'd never seen a push kick in my life yet. I'm 5 weeks into my career. I've never seen anyone shoot one. And he shoots the push kick, and it's in my goal, and I haven't budged. I haven't moved my men. And I look at the guy that I'm playing with him going, did you see which guy hit that with? And he goes, I think the first guy. The first guy. I go, I didn't move. The ball would have had to go right through my men. I think he hit it with the middle guy. And so we're debating it. Okay. We can't see the damn ball. And then so he gets it again. Same thing happens. And he goes, oh, yeah, definitely. That thing went around you. Okay. So now I'm 2 balls into the push kick. And I go, okay, I know what to do. He sets it up again. He moves. I'm out there in the long, and the dink goes behind me.
Oh.
And I'm just going, oh. there's a little more to this than I thought there was.
It's like magic. You're like, oh my God, it went there, and now it's going there, and now what?
And then now I'm going, who the hell is this guy? Where did this guy come from? And I told you, of course, Libya.
Right.
He's Libyan. And we became fast friends. And he mentored me.
Really?
He essentially taught me the game of foosball. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And-
I learned foosball from a Muslim.
And what was his name? Do you remember his name?
It made me a stone cold killer, is what it made.
His name was Todd Lafredo. The Muslim.
His name was Mahmoud Drabika.
Mahmoud Drabika.
So,
Sure.
finally, during the course of about a year, I became a better player than he was.
Really?
Mike, I got to
And he
ask
goes-
you, man. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going.
All right. And so he goes, but next year he goes, my cousin is coming from Libya. He's the best foosball player in all of Libya. And I said, well, what's the dynamic here? How come, where do you guys play foosball? He goes, there's 20 foosball tables at my school.
Jeez.
I go, so you played at your school, your grade school, you played foosball there? He goes, yes. He goes, soccer's the number one sport when you get outside the United States, and table soccer is a natural.
Yeah.
And so his cousin shows up, Abdul Braish. And they were the best doubles team in Colorado. And the next best team was this guy I played with, Tom Dresites.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to the Elitch's tournament, which is about a couple years later, they did not play in the tournament.
Really?
And I said, how can you guys not play in the tournament? You're the best doubles team out there. And they go, our leader is Muammar Gaddafi.
Oh.
And if he's paying for our school, and if he thought that it was a frivolous game, our families would be punished in Libya.
No kidding. No
so
kidding.
We're not going to play. And they would have been the number one seed from Colorado in doubles. I was the number one seed in singles, and I actually think they would have won the tournament.
What a thrill it was to chat with one of the greatest players of all time, Cindy Head from episode 52.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here talking with you guys.
Well, it's mighty nice of you to join us. I mean, it's high time, of course. So, Cindy, are you in Alabama this evening?
No, I've been in Colorado for about a year and a half. Well, maybe almost 2 years now.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So, how far are you from Jim's neighborhood?
I'm about 30 minutes outside of Denver.
Gotcha.
So, how far is that, Jim?
Oh, it's about 6 hours from where I live down in Durango. But I believe you were in Larkspur for a while there. Are you south of Denver? Is that where you are now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
About the Castle Rock area.
Okay. Yeah. My sister-in-law lives in Castle Rock. We're there quite often. We'll have to check in. But no, it's great to hear your voice. It's great to talk to you here on FoosTalk Live and kind of reflect on your amazing career and kind of touch base with where you are these days. And of course, I know Mark Torres, who's with us here tonight, Tom Robinson as well. And we're really thrilled, as Tom said, to have you on tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. And I wanted to give you a shout out on congratulations on your 1 year anniversary that just passed. That's pretty awesome.
Thanks.
So kudos to you guys for all that you
Thank
do
you.
for us players.
Let's
Thank you,
say
Cindy.
it's people like yourself that make it worthwhile for us and make it so much fun. And we're so thrilled to have you. So it's tradition, of course, here to talk to you about the distant past, if you don't mind. Of course, a lot of us already know your story from Foosballers, the movie. So congratulations on your film, because I have to say that if Foosballers, the movie, had been just about your story, it would have been just as thrilling. It was such an accomplishment. So how did that feel, by the way, getting selected for that film?
Well, I turned it down 3 times.
Turned it down 3 times?
I did.
Really?
I didn't know that.
I have had many interviews where the story just turned out to be so cheesy, and it just, it just did injustice to our sport.
Right.
And I just wasn't up for that again. But after meeting Joe and sitting down and talking with him, I knew that he had our sport it was in his heart to do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt good about him. And I said, okay, I'll do it. So, and I'm glad I did, because he did an amazing job.
Yes.
And he got to the heart of the sport, into the heart of the players. And I am very honored to have been in his film.
Yeah, no question. I love the footage of you as a police officer. By the way, thank you for your service.
You're very welcome. Unfortunately, our department, we had a new chief there after I retired.
Okay.
And he was afraid of liability. So there were so many things I could have shown about our department. And
Right.
like I was able to show the beat that I worked on. It was a civil rights district downtown.
Mm-hmm.
We walked around and showed that area, but because of liability, he wouldn't let me go on TV and show all the things that I did, and wouldn't let the other officers come on. So that was kind of disappointing, because I really wanted people to see what I did as a living and how much I loved being an officer.
Sure.
Because I miss it every day. And so I hate that he wouldn't let that part come out.
Well, it is. It's terrific. Really terrific.
Cindy,
stuff.
what they did show was plenty for everyone to ingratiate themselves to the level of service you did to your community. It was I don't feel like I missed anything, and still felt the weight of your experience and your commitment to your community. So I thought it was wonderful, in spite of what you may have felt was missed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
It's tasteful.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really one of the, I was watching the movie. I went out to the premiere in Los Angeles and had family members there and non-foosball people, and they absolutely thought that was the best part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them taken to tears during that, and it was just a really, I thought you were wonderful, and of course Joe did such a great job with this movie, and so again, just a great film, and you were a big part of it.
Well, thank you. I think the part that was hardest for me about not showing me as a police officer was the part of my brother being an officer, and that we worked together, and the way that we became officers to serve and to help people. And I think it hurt my heart more that I wasn't able to, show that part of him being such a good officer.
Right.
Yep.
Well, so now we kind of need to go back. I know you've probably repeated this so many times, but your earliest days, and forgive me if I've forgotten the name of the place where you used to go when you were young, before you really became the Cindy Head we all know, the arcade. Somewhere else, is that what it was called?
No, it was called Someplace Else.
Someplace Else. Okay, got it.
And I was just a small child. I literally had to stand on, I don't remember if it was milk crates or whatever it was, but I was pretty small for my age. I was probably, I don't know, 10 or so, but
10.
And I would have to stand on those boxes to play, but I had a blast. It was a lot of fun.
And was it there's something that caught your eye about foosball itself? I mean, maybe you saw the table and didn't know what it was the first time?
I remember the first time I actually saw a table. It was actually at a place called Angry Revolt.
Okay.
Which was down the street. But I was smaller, and I really had no clue what that table was. And I remember going in and looking at it and thinking, that's weird. Then I left and went out the door. And then about 2 years later, I saw the foosball at the Someplace Else, and that's when I started trying to learn how to play.
Yeah, Someplace Else. So was there a moment that you remember where you decided, I'm addicted to this and I just can't stop playing?
I think I loved it. It was an outlet for me to go play foosball. It was a way for me to go and relax and, compete and just have fun and not worry about anything. So foosball at first was just an outlet for me and a good place to go.
And what kind of tables were there? Do you remember the name of the table?
Yeah, give me 1 second. It was a horrible table. It was called Vulcan. It was a Vulcan table.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
And do you remember the first time you actually decided to compete? And where was that? And was it a national or regional tournament?
I can remember the first time I decided I was going to be good. It's that I was going to be good at this sport no matter what it cost me. It's when those 3 guys came in and told me, not this time, honey. We need somebody a little bit better.
Right.
And it just crushed my heart. I remember going home and just with tears in my eyes. And I was thinking, Mister, one day you're not going to be able to say that to me, and I'm going to be able to beat you. And after that, I was determined to learn how to play. And I was very fortunate because in the area where I played, it was called Woodlawn, and we would have local tournaments. And one weekend it would be at our place, another weekend it would be in Tuscaloosa, another weekend it would be in Cobble Heights.
Right.
So there was so many tournaments. And the guys were very gracious. They would let me play, and they would let me, try to learn, and they would try to teach me stuff. And then it got to where I was good enough to where they weren't telling me stuff anymore. I had to learn it on my own.
You became a threat. That was the problem.
Yeah, but I had a blast, and I have so many male friends over the years that I wouldn't trade anything for the friendships and the people I have met over the years.
Yes.
I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I've discovered since getting back into this in 2011 how much of a family there really is when it comes to foosball, and it's universal.
Yes, it is. There's so much love, among us. And there's something I wanted to say to Jim, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Jim, I wanted to thank you, and I'm sure this is from every player around the world that has ever touched a handle. For the video over the years, you have captured some of the most precious moments in people's lives that have spent countless hours of blood, sweat, and tears to learn how to play this game and to become the best. And you have captured it on video, because in the heat of the moment, sometimes I can't remember what I did to win an important match because I'm so focused and I'm so set on whatever that person is that I need to fix or change or whatever it takes to get that ball in. And you have so many precious moments captured on video that we can go back and look in that you'll never understand how important that is to people. So thank you for what you've done over the years.
Thank you, Cindy. That's very kind. Thank you.
Well, you know what, Cindy? I'm gonna counter that. You should be thanking me for being there drunk sometimes.
No, you should
to ruin those moments.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, thank you also.
No, seriously, I gotta say this. I've been watching you since '89, right? Cindy, if I could be honest, in the early '90s, I had a massive crush on you. I just follow you around like a puppy dog. I swear to God, that's true. I had a massive crush on Cindy Head like in the early '90s. I'm like, Cindy Head.
Wow.
That's so sweet.
Anyway,
watch a match. That is so sweet.
But you should know that you've delivered those moments to us to record, and I can clearly remember you over the decades watching you playing some young lady, and it was always a test of character. It was a test of will. For the 99% of the time, the first time Cindy Head plays another woman player, I can assure you that woman player lost. The first time they played Cindy Head, they lost, and they had to. And Cindy would score a point, throw the rod, give her the yeah and the fist pump, and then she would look up. And if that poor young lady's eyes were diverted, or she was basically if her will was being broken by Cindy, that match was over. It was over every single time. But it was because of you, Cindy, that so many great players learned to rise up and to fight back. And I'm sure nothing pleased you more than seeing the competitive fire return back at you and help you. I believe you helped develop so many female players to have a stronger character and to be more competitive and face fear. And that was because you were so strong-willed on the table. I don't think you ever wanted to lose ever, not one point, not ever. But in being so self-determined, a lot of women and men players learn that character building from those character building moments. So we owe you that gratitude in return.
Oh, thank you so much. That comment you just made, I know people probably don't believe this, but this is the God's honest truth. When I'm yelling and I am, doing the things that I do, it is not to intimidate the other player. It's to keep me pumped up. I have to have a drive. I have to feel like every point I do, everything I do that I have to be fired up and I have to be able to continue to do that or to do it better the next point or to rise my game each time. And that is more to keep me pumped up and keep me fired up. And yes, it probably does mess with some other female players' head, but that really is not my intention. And again, everybody has their own opinion, but just for me, I'm telling you how that is for me.
I think I played, before we get on to somebody else, I'm sure has a question. I played you in like 05 and you drilled me. You absolutely drilled me. I can't remember what the hell. I was so bothered by it, but you were doing your thing, and whether it's to fire yourself up, you can't help it. But the other, it's a moment for the other person to be introspective and understand if this stress is getting to them, and if they could fight through it. That's just how it operates. So it's always very welcome for me to see that kind of energy on the table.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I think she raised the bar when it comes to competitiveness for sure. Hey, Mark, after that 05 match, when she beat you so badly, did you still have a crush on her after that?
No.
So Cindy, you start playing, and I believe it was late 70s when you first started. Was it the Dynamo table that was predominantly the tournament table down in Alabama at that time? Yeah, I don't think you played a lot of TS, did you?
I did not. I did not like TS, and this is just my opinion, but I felt like that table was a piece of junk. I didn't like to play on that table, but you have to remember, I'm just a young kid, and I'm just doing things to have fun, and to me, playing on that table wasn't fun.
Yeah.
But in '76, myself and Leo Quinn won a mixed doubles in Atlanta on the Dynamo tour. And I believe we played Lynn LaFleur and Debbie Rosen. And I think that's how you say her name. Is it Rosen? I'm not sure how you say it.
If it's one S, it's Rosen. Yes.
So, and I never played anything but front, and we beat them. And they were killing everybody. And we beat them. And I think I was 16 when that happened.
Wow.
We never played anything but front on that match. So Dynamo was the main table I played on. I think my first tour tournament that I went to on the TS was in the Chicago one. And I had to play Lori and Carrie in doubles, and I had to play Carrie in singles. And that was my first big tournament I went to.
How'd you do? So Lori Schranz and Carrie Wiggins, right?
Carrie Crowell.
Oh,
Yes.
Crowell.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I won doubles and singles.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think Mike Green actually told me a story about that. He was there watching it. Yeah, you may call in tonight and tell that story. So I'm gonna wait on that. But but then the Dynamo table kind of, obviously tournament soccer crashed in '81,
right?
Which may be the year you're talking about when you were there.
The year. Yes.
Yeah. And then in '82, the new Dynamo tour kind of started, and you immediately won both women's doubles, women's singles at that World Championship, and that sort of started a run for you. That first 4 or 5 years on Dynamo, and then you switched over to Tornado. In fact, I talked about it earlier. In '87, you won both Dynamo women's singles and Tornado women's singles at the World Championships, and then you started that incredible run of singles titles on Tornado, doubles titles on Tornado as well. I mean, the numbers they speak for themselves, and what a period of dominance. I'm not sure anyone in the history of foosball, maybe even Frederick Collignon, can show that kind of dominance on the table. But talk about those early years on Dynamo. Obviously, Tina was a big opponent as well of yours. I think she beat you in '85 in the women's singles final. And talk a little bit, I guess, about your rivalry with her maybe over those few years when you two were such great players, such great competitors.
Yes, we were. Tina did not like me for many years there. And then later
she was a competitor.
We became really good friends, and we actually
Yeah.
played together in a couple of them. She was a very tough competitor, very smart, very physical also. She could play front, forward, goalie. She was a very hard opponent to beat. She when she would play, you would not see her emotions. So you would not be able to read her and see what was getting to her or what she didn't like. Some players you can read, and you can shoot a certain shot against someone and you can tell that shot is not something that they're very strong in. Or you can do a pass and you can see that certain pass is weak on their defense style. So, but Tina was very hard to read. She was just stellar. She was solid front and back.
We are all awestruck by the amazing families that play foosball together as top competitors. Take, for instance, Tom and Tommy Yore. We chatted with them following Tommy's amazing takedown of Tony Spredeman in open singles at Texas State's. This is from episode 62.
Well, Tom, I just want to say from the FoosTalk Live staff here, very happy Father's Day.
Thank you, and to you guys as well.
Oh, and really appreciate you taking some time out of the day to join us with Tommy. Now, before we bring Tommy in, I have a question for you, and this kind of goes back to last weekend's beatdown, the Beachtown beatdown. I understand in the particular match there were some, shall we say, extra timeouts that were purchased. Now, you're one of the guys who wrote the rule book. Is there anything in the bylaws about something like that?
There could be in normal tournaments, but at the beatdown, anything goes. When teams agree on it, it's the beatdown. No whining, no crying. All right. So if you're going to play best of 3 out of 5 when it's supposed to be 2 out of 3, you're going to buy timeouts. Get thrown out of the bar, whatever. You got to do what you got to do.
What would be a fair
Actually,
price?
it was 4 out of 7. Tommy and Tony played 4 out of 7.
There was that too, right?
Right. What is a fair price for a timeout, by the way?
I ain't paying anything for one, to be honest with you.
These were $5 each. Yeah, these were $5 each.
No,
Tommy,
forget that.
Wow.
Tommy slipped Blake a 20 right on camera there, and I'm assuming that later Blake gave him $5 and change.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not.
These are the rules.
But it's funny. It's funny.
Except at the beatdown. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's as we were saying before, it's probably a good idea that these kinds of things do occur at events like that because they're so much fun. And
it's a fun venue. It's a fun tournament. So that's what it was all about. So
Right.
it was a great time, and looking forward to going back next year.
Hey, real quick, I got a question for you too, Tom. What are you drinking tonight? I know you're an IPA drinker. Tom and I always enjoy IPAs anytime we see each other. What are you having tonight?
Want me to do this without the whole intro? All right.
Well, hold on. You ready, Tom?
Well, hold on if you want. Oh, wait. Let me just. We've got that for you right here. Here it comes. Here's the official intro for the IPA. What Jim and I like to do right about this time is to reveal our favorite IPA. There, just for you, Tom. What do you got?
All right, appreciate that. No, what I'm drinking for the occasion, being Father's Day, straight out of Fort Worth, Texas, I'm drinking the Dad Gum IPA.
Oh yeah.
Dad Gum. Steve Murray gave me some of those Dad Gum IPAs, and they're good. Dad Gum it.
They are. No, he was very hospitable. I mean, when I first walked in on Friday evening at Texas State's, he had a cooler full of that stuff waiting. And that was real good. And I love the name. Cheers. Yeah, here's to it. Here's to Father's Day. Here's to you, Tom.
Here's to you. Happy Father's Day, Tom.
Thank you. What are you drinking, Jim?
Yeah, I had the La Cumbre Elevated IPA out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is the closest big city to where I live, by the way. I live much closer to Albuquerque than I do to Denver, about 225 miles down the highway, Highway 550, US 550.
Is that where you fly in and out of?
No, I fly in and out of Durango. We have an airport here, believe it or not.
Okay.
Oh, big enough town. And I'm having the Two-Hearted Ale from Comstock, Michigan, and Bell's Brewery, and it's got a fish on the front label. It's
of course it does.
Good.
It's Michigan.
Of course. I think it's a steelhead bass, if I'm not mistaken, if there's such a thing. Still good. Well, yes. Okay. Well, Tom, I got to say that, not to gush, but one of the finest moments at the Texas State Championships was the moment during open singles when your son did what I thought was impossible and double dipped Tony Spredeman. And so I got to say that is something that, to me, I'll always remember being there. And I'll tell my great grandkids that I was there. But without further ado, I'd like to bring on your son, Tommy Yore Jr. Tommy, are you with us?
Yep, I'm here. What's up?
How are you?
Hey, Tommy.
Doing good. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so Tommy, that was an amazing moment, and it will reverberate for quite some time. Now, you and Tony Spredeman still speaking?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Tony's always Tony's never ever given me like anything after I beat him or anything like that. So he's always been really cool.
Right.
Yeah, Tony has a great deal of respect for you. I mean, you are someone who has sort of modeled your game, at least early on, to some degree after Tony's. But he's always really kind of been supportive of that, hasn't he? I mean, he's been very good for your career. He's a guy that will give you whatever you want to know. Talk a little bit about your relationship with Tony.
Oh, it's been a huge blessing. Like I've because we always used to play at Eric Holtner's house, and Tony would come over there, and I would always talk to him, always ask him questions, and I'd always try and get his opinion on some stuff, especially since we have very similar games. And he's always told me, if you ever have a question, ask me. Like he's
Cool.
never anytime I've ever asked him anything, he's always given me a great answer, and I'm extremely lucky to know him.
And this also reflects the fact that you have a very similar game to Tony. So, is that an accident, or is that just something that that happened by osmosis?
So I well, when I was younger, I would stay up late, hang out with my dad, watching matches because he'd want to like watch maybe like get info on people or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I would hang out, watch matches with my dad, and when I saw Tony's game, it really caught my eye. Looked a lot like a lot of fun. So I just went and started practicing and never looked back.
Wow. And it's it's worked.
Yeah, it's a very unique style. So a lot of people can struggle to block me and Tony. It's become, although it's kind of funny because we talk about it, like people have gotten a little bit better at blocking, like especially the 5-bar over the years. So yeah, I've had it a little bit harder than Tony probably, as far as like people's experience going into Farwell Tic Tac.
You're kind of coming in his wake, right? They've already kind of seen him, and now they're ready for you. But it's also a style. If anybody's ever tried it, it's not easy, right? That Farwell Tic Tac series, the way he walks the ball, it's not an easy way to play. It's obviously a great way to play, but how long did it take you really? And of course, we've kind of watched you work with this style for a good 10, 12 years, it feels like. But how long did it take you to sort of perfect it? Because it isn't that easy to learn to play that way, right?
Yeah, definitely. Luckily when I first started practicing it, it was like during the summer of my school year. So like for those like 3 months, like all I did, I live, breathe foosball. I just practice every day. I'd watch I watched all the matches that my dad had at Tony on DVD and VHS, and I learned as much as I could. My dad helped me a lot in the process of especially the basics of a Farwell Tic Tac and the snake shot. So it took, but as far as how long it took me probably a good year of just practicing like crazy to
be
able to execute.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I had to estimate it, yeah.
And then it's just a matter of continuing to work that style to get to consistency, because that's really what it comes down to. And of course, you are an extremely consistent player. You have to be in order to win championships. But let's go back a couple of years. Let's go back to the amateur singles event back. Was it 2017?
Yep.
When obviously I knew you. I traveled around the world with you. We'd spent time with you and your mom, Leslie, and of course your dad.
Mm-hmm.
But and really we could see you had some talent. Maybe I don't know if the interest was there. You didn't actually have the desire to be a great player at that time, but we're having fun with it. You were getting to play on different tables, etc. But then in 2017, in the amateur singles event, where there's probably 100 or 200 players in there, anything can happen. It isn't always the best player who wins amateur singles. So sometimes it's the most consistent player, right, who can survive 8 or 10 or 12 matches. But you came through and you won that event. You won it fairly easily, as I recall. But it was a bit of an eye opener. We said, here's Tommy Orr. He's finally dedicated himself. It looks like he wants to be a great player, and he wins this event. Take us back to your mindset entering that competition. Did you feel like going into it, you were there to win?
So honestly, going into that event, this kind of like I feel I especially back in that day, I played locals every week. I probably played at someone's house as well. So I probably played 2 times a week. And at these locals, I'm going against like top pros, masters, my dad, Dylan Marshall, Eric Holtner, Mike Genshin, like all these like all these top pros and stuff like that. So like once I was playing amateur singles, like I'm used to playing against pros. So when I was playing through amateur singles, I could kind of I kind of went on autopilot, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
And I just I didn't want to, because I feel like what a lot of people do is all I did was just focus on playing my game, executing, and using my speed to my advantage is what I specifically remember doing for amateur singles. That's
So amateurs wasn't that long ago for you. I mean, what do you attribute to your incredible rise in the ranks so quickly? How did you do that?
Well, first things first, gotta give huge credit to my dad.
Yeah,
like he was a key.
Happy Father's Day, Tom.
Yeah, happy Father's Day, Padre. But yeah, but my dad was a huge part, because I genuinely think my dad has like one of the best mentalities or mental games in foosball. So I really and like growing up watching him play and seeing his will to win, never backing down, and like seeing that, I think that had a big part of my development. But then the other big part, once again, I'm extremely lucky for this, being able to play against these top pros and masters week in and week out.
Right.
And and then the other thing is like I asked so many people so many questions about everything, and luckily everyone was super cool and always gave me good answers and everything. So that's mainly what I contributed, like playing against good players all the time, and then being able to learn from my dad, especially on the mental side of the game.
And
yeah, I think there's been like four main ingredients, I think, to your success. Obviously, being able to have a father who has been so successful, has that great mental approach, a very organized game. Also, the fact that you do play in probably the toughest area in the entire world. Also, the fact that you've had some mentorship from Tony Spredeman. And then the fourth thing for me is that you've had a chance to play internationally, right? You've had a chance to experience the different tables, the different cultures, the different styles, and really begin to look at foosball as more of a worldwide thing. And I think these four things, this perfect storm, has kind of come together with your work ethic, with your history in sports, being a former hockey player. All of these things, I think, have contributed. And Mark and I have talked about this on the air. Contributed to your ascending greatness. Now, talk a little bit about the international side of it, about traveling and you getting to go to these different countries, play on these different tables, play for Team USA as a junior, et cetera.
So when you mentioned that, you make a very good point there, actually, because back when I first started, one of my main sources of foosball was the World Cup and playing in juniors, because the only tournament I went to really in the U.S. was Texas State. I didn't get to go to any of the other major ones because I played hockey at the time. There was always a hockey tournament on the weekend of the big foosball tournament, especially Worlds. I always remember I never got to go to Worlds because of that. But yeah, but me always like playing like in Nantes in the World Cup and everything. I got to see like consistently that side of foosball and like what it can be like playing like, and I got to experience like for instance, I forgot what year it was, but it was France versus US in the World Cup finals, and we're in not France, and it was like crazy loud and everyone was cheering, and I got to experience that side of foosball, and I think that really made that definitely was an awesome experience for me at a young age to see if I work hard enough I can get to like that spot. So I think that definitely helped me, and then obviously all the experience on the other tables was very helpful as well.
Now, Tom, your senior, when did you first recognize that there was some talent in your son? Was there a moment at home, like those, like the first steps of the first time he spoke? What was the first time that you noticed he had talent for foosball?
Well, it certainly wasn't when he tried his first snake shot, I can tell you that. Yeah, let's start trying to flip it over and hit it straight before you try to move it and walk it around. But
yep, I remember
that. Yep. It was probably towards the tail end of that summer that he talked about when he, Tommy was watching all the videos and he would hit pause, see Tony do something, hit pause and go out there for an hour working on what he just saw. Then he'd come back in and watch some more and see something, and he'd go back out there and work on something else. But it was towards the end of that summer, maybe 3 or 4 months down the road, that he wanted to, hit the ball around, play some singles and whatnot. And I could see that his transition, catching loose balls, this was the big eye opener for me is, his natural instinct when, the ball's going by my 5 bar and I'm thinking I'm going ready to catch it on my 2 bar, and he snaps up there and pins it on his 3 bar. And he did a few times. I'm like, holy crap, this kid's fast, and precise. So, it was, not that far into him actually wanting to be good and practicing where I realized the kid's got talent. And so that was it for me.
Well, we want to know, did you get it on video?
No. That was in the sweat box in the garage at the time. That was not conducive to running videotape. It was.
So, Tommy, you had a bit of a diversion along the way. You wanted to get into hockey. Now, was there a point where you thought maybe you'd like to go pro with hockey?
I mean, like when I was a little kid, I wanted to go pro in hockey, but I knew I wasn't gonna ever go pro in it. Like eventually, I kind of just kept playing it just cause I don't know. It was I kind of for a brief period I wanted to play college hockey. But then I kind of realized, like, I don't really want to do that either, so I stopped playing.
Right. Now, coming from a perspective of a guy in the Northeast, very close to the Canadian border, I always wonder, how does somebody from Florida get into hockey?
You probably should ask my dad that question, because I think the reason my dad said was because I played soccer, but he didn't want me to play soccer because it was so hot outside. He wanted rather me play hockey. So he was like, for hockey.
There is truth in the baking on the sideline on a Sunday morning.
I think it was Tom. Tom didn't want it to be so hot as what it was, right? You didn't want to be out there in the heat.
So what happened actually, at our church, Tommy was in a group or a youth group or something or whatever, and a friend that he met, his dad was a hockey coach at the rink, the local rink. So he invited Tommy and his friend, Tommy's friend Dominic was a goalie and his dad was a coach, and they invited Tommy to come out on the ice. So they let him borrow a pair of skates, and he went out there, and another coach was working with them, and so it was that invite that got him on the ice, and he loved it from that point forward. But this is Tampa Bay. We've got the Lightning. They had won the Stanley Cup. We've got right now probably 7 or 8 rinks in the greater Tampa Bay area.
No doubt.
So it's actually a huge hockey area, and many people involved in the hockey world down here in the Tampa Bay area are from the Northeast. They're from Chicago. There's a huge hockey contingency down here that are transplants from other places. So very strong influence in the hockey world down here, and there's a lot of great teams, national championship teams. So that's how he got into hockey, though. It was that invite to get on the ice with a rec team, as a little house team, and so he played. They actually got him on the ice the last 3 games of the season.
Cool.
He started learning to skate, and then he got actually pretty good. Played up to junior hockey level. He played on many travel teams. I mean, we were, like you said, he missed a lot of tournaments because he was always traveling. I mean, we did a lot of traveling for hockey. I mean, we were all over. It was almost like chasing foosball tournaments. Very similar. So at times, but I think right around was it Tommy Germany? I think after the World Cup, Germany is when Tommy flipped the switch and decided he was done with hockey, and it's foosball. Full force.
Yeah, because at the time I was deciding whether I wanted to play another season of hockey or not, and I like, something for me is I like to have something competitive in my life. I kind of need that competitiveness, and I like at that, like around that time in Germany, I realized I think I could get that with foosball instead of hockey.
Then we spoke with Tom and Kathy Atkinson with their legendary foosball partnership and marriage.
So, Tommy and Kathy, thank you so much for being with us. So, Kathy, I think it's only fair, if you're with us, that we begin with you, because it's a tradition here on FoosTalk Live. We got to find out where it all began. So, Kathy, if you'd like, take us back to the moment that you first started playing foosball. How old were you when you first saw a table, and what kind was it?
Well, I was 18, and it was a tornado table. I had my senior year, I went to school for 1 hour.
Oh.
So when I got done with that, I'd go up to this little pool hall where I was kind of buddies with the owner and sit up there. And I decided I just wanted to not spin the rods and put my boyfriend in his place, because head got a little bit big for our relationship.
Oh, interesting. So
So that's how it all started.
So, and for you, when it came to getting competitive, though, I mean, as far as playing there to settle some scores, I mean, how did that progress when it came to finally being competitive as a foosball player?
Well, I went overseas to visit my family, and while I was gone, that little pool hall closed down. So I got home at like 4 a.m. My flight got in, and a buddy of mine picked me up from the airport and told me about the place closing, and I was fiending to play foosball. So he said, "Hey, this other place opened up. It's called Billiard Palace, and they're open 24 hours." I was like, "No way!" So he took me there, and I got in. Saw some people playing tournament style play I'd never seen before.
Okay.
So that this guy shot a pull shot and it scared me. It was so loud.
Yeah.
So then one of the guys took me under the wing and talked me into coming out and playing, and that was it.
Wow. Now, who was that? Do you remember the name of the person who brought you into this game?
Tony Owens.
Tony Owens. Very cool. And did you continue to play continually after that?
Yeah, that was in November of 92. So my first world, or no, it was November 91.
Mm-hmm.
And then my first world was 93.
Oh, wow. 1993. We're just talking about
And little did you know, that 93 Worlds turned out to be kind of special.
Now, when did you first meet Tommy?
Let's see, November, New Year's Open, 92.
Wow. So
it was it was a New Year's Open tournament at the Palace.
Got it. What is it? Was it one of those fairy tale kind of romances, love at first sight?
I love that laugh.
No, absolutely not.
Well,
when you first start playing and you hear all these stories about all the top players right then, and especially since he was from Oklahoma, I'd heard a lot about him, and I hadn't seen him, and everybody called him Little Tommy, and so I went up there for that New Year's Open tournament, and I found my friend Tony, and he was telling me, "Hey, this is Adrian Zamora. That's he's pointing all these players out," and I said, "Where's Tommy? Where's the Tommy kid? I want to see him." And he said, "Well, if you can get to the table, he's over there." So I just followed the crowd, and I heard all this yelling and screaming, and I saw him, and I was like, "That's it? That little kid? Are you kidding me?"
Wow.
So yeah, I just thought he was real cocky and full of himself, and I didn't really like him much.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you play with him or against him in those days?
Yeah, against him. Yeah.
And what did you think?
Well, I mean, what can you?
Thought the same thing.
Pretty much.
He thought the same thing. Cocky.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't take it easy on me at all. And at first, really, I thought he hated me and was trying to make me cry and quit.
Oh.
Just because he was so loud and aggressive and screamy and, I don't know.
Some things never change for sure. You're listening to FoosTalk Live. We're visiting with Tommy and Kathy Atkinson. So, all right. So 92, 93, you see who he is. There's little Tommy. He's in your mind, he's a little over the top, a little much. When, and maybe this is personal, but heck, what the heck? When did you guys kind of start to be attracted to each other? When did that happen? I have a feeling it was significantly later than that.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know, 98?
Yeah, 98,
99. 98, 99, something like that. I don't even remember, honestly.
Now, I have to ask you this question. Once you finally decided to tie the knot, quote unquote, at the wedding reception, was there a foosball table present?
No.
No.
There were tornadoes, though, and we had Rob Marr was freaking out.
Like real tornadoes?
Real tornadoes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we got married in May in Oklahoma. That's kind of
Tornado Alley, right in the heart of it.
I've been on mute laughing because of your description of him as screamy. I think that's
very screamy. Yeah.
Screamy.
Stop it, Mark. Stop it now.
Oh God,
that's great. And so Kathy, when it comes to these days, you guys play together. I want to get it from your perspective, first of all, because this is unique. There aren't too many in the history of foosball married couples who actually play well as a team in foosball. What do you attribute to your success?
Communication, and he's very patient with me.
Okay.
I mean, he's the master. Why would I not? Why would I not listen to what he's telling me to do?
Sure.
So
By
I mean, on the
by
table-
master, you mean master player, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
It's master period. Jim.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, buddy, you got it. You just keep saying that. Just keep saying
You know
it.
why? Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why this is true. If I was playing with, I'm a little scared of my wife, frankly. So if I was playing with my wife, I'd be a little bit of terror that she's gonna. And I will say it's the same thing for Jim.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. No question. Hi, honey. Nice. I'm glad you're listening tonight.
She is. She's listening. It's awesome. Is she really? Is she listening?
Oh yeah,
Ah.
absolutely. She's with us. So, hi, Amy. Hi, Amy. It's not my fault.
I love that.
No, it's awesome that the old married couple thing. It really, there have been very few, as we've talked about, and watching you guys in Portland this year at the Moneyball event, it was almost I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and of course I know you two, I know how well you get along, but to watch the way you guys played together as such a team, such great chemistry. Obviously, ended up taking second. A lot of fun to watch you guys play, but also Tom, let's welcome the other half, the lesser half, if we will.
Yeah.
Let's welcome Tommy, and I know you got some questions for him as well.
Tommy, I think that this is, first of all, I'm a huge fan, and I love the whole attitude you've carried through this sport of being an entertainer, not only a master player, but an entertainer, someone who really kind of gets the crowd going. As these guys were mentioning during our top five, you want to find where Tommy Atkinson is playing in a room, follow the crowd. So I got to ask you, from your perspective, what is that like? How does that feel?
A lot of people don't understand. I pick someone in the crowd and I get them involved, and I don't think you ever quit getting nervous, even as a master player. And that's a way of me dealing with my nerves.
Oh, interesting.
And it always has been.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like I take someone
sometimes
along
that
for the
person he
ride
picked
with
out
me.
sometimes that person he picked out was me.
Well, yeah. I always thought you were flirting with me. We have a lot of eye contact, bro. I enjoy it. So lie to me.
Yeah. Oh man. No. Now, has it always been like this? Because of course, we saw in the movie Foosballers, you started out like most of us, at a small arcade. I mean, were you always that way when you played early?
I've always been very vocal.
Really?
And like I told you, it's a way of me dealing with the nerves myself. It keeps me from getting nervous.
Mm-hmm. And as a master pro, why would you be nervous?
If anyone tells you that they don't still get nervous, they're lying to you.
Oh,
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it. Well, I mean, I have to say, it's remarkable, especially after all this time. 1993 was the beginning. What prompted you? First of all, we know that you were playing as a youngster, but what prompted you to actually become competitive? Why did you jump into tournament foosball?
I've always been competitive at anything I did. I've played sports and wrestled and done other things, but I've always been really competitive. It's just always been my makeup.
And foosball just happened to be the thing that you were, well, I guess you could say early on you were exposed to as a kid. So that was natural, I suppose.
Yeah, foosball was, it definitely came and took a hold of me. Once I got into foosball, I didn't want to do anything else.
Got addicted.
Yeah.
Now, in retrospect, back in the day when you were, of course, at that age, and you were, what, in your early teens when you first started?
Yeah, I was 12 when I started playing.
Wow, no kidding. Now, what did your friends who weren't playing foosball, what were they saying to you in those days?
Well, I didn't really have any friends that weren't playing foosball. Most of my friends were playing. We all got into it about the same time.
Nice. Yeah, very cool. And how often at the age of 12 or 13 were you playing?
every day.
Every day. Wow.
Yeah.
That is addicted for sure.
And for many hours, I'm sure. In my career, as we talked about earlier, always going to be tied to yours, Tommy, just because of that 93 Worlds. Talk a little bit about that experience, about you were coming, you were so confident on the table, but your style was a little different. You played a little higher speed of a level. And talk about that 93 Worlds. As you come into it, you're playing with Russ King in doubles, you're playing singles. Talk a little bit about your memories from what was really the event that propelled you on to your Hall of Fame career.
Well, I really have to give most of the credit to Terry for that 93 win. We made it to the finals of the Nationals that year in New Orleans. And Terry and Todd double dipped us, 2 sets, match ball. The final set, Terry tried a 5-bar and it banked in the hole, a meatball on us. After we came back from 4-1 or 4-2.
Wow. And
after the match, I told Terry, I said, man, this is a good match, where'd I go wrong? What are some things that I could do, He said, well, you're never going to beat me. I said, okay.
That was it. Yeah.
So I went home and I practiced for Terry and Todd and no one else. Kind of got cheated a little bit because I didn't even get to play them in that tournament. They didn't make it far enough for us to play them.
At the Worlds, no.
So I was a little pissed off about that at the end of it. But I was happy that I won,
When it comes to famous foosball families, of course, we had to chat with the first family of foosball, including Terry, Keisha, and Sullivan Rue during episode 69.
Well, we're very lucky to have all three with us this evening. It's Terry, it's Keisha, it's Sullivan. They're so well known in the foosball community and such a super nice group of people, but top-notch players. Please welcome all three to FoosTalk Live. Guys, are you with us?
We are.
We're here.
Holy smokes, listen to that. That's awesome.
That is great.
We even have Arden with us.
All 4 of you.
Nice.
Outstanding. Yeah, Arden's a really good player too. I mean, it's only a matter of time for her before she's playing Sully in those women's singles finals, I think.
That's right.
Yeah. Is it a requirement that when you walk through the Rue's front door that you must play foosball? Is that the
Absolutely.
You gotta complete a 5-bar pass outside before you can even come in.
Before you enter.
Right.
It's like
I want to walk.
taking your shoes off.
I want to walk through those doors and taste some of Keisha's cooking. From what I hear, and is it the crawfish etouffee? Is that what we're looking at? I think
That's what everybody seems to like and ask for.
Really?
Your whole name, like Keisha, like an egg dish and a pastry.
Nice try, Mark.
Rue,
Oh man.
Rue is a stick
you're right.
Gumbo,
Right.
yeah.
Look, we have Tony calling, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to head down there, but I want my dish. I want my crawfish etouffee."
Yeah.
He's already requested it.
I can't wait, man. In one of these years, I'm bringing the family down, guys. We're parking the trailer on the back 40, and we're hanging out for a while, just eating good crawfish etouffee.
There you go. Hey, have you guys thought about maybe doing some tailgating at Lexington, Kentucky? Setting up in the parking lot and put up the grill.
That would be fun.
That would be awesome.
We might be a little busy that weekend, but maybe one time
Tad.
during the weekend. Maybe Keisha.
Uh-huh.
So first of all, I gotta ask you guys. I know this kind of a family just doesn't materialize out of nothing. Of course, you guys very consciously did this. Now, who first of all is the instigator to get everybody in the family in the sport? Just curious.
I guess it would be me.
Okay.
I started out first when I was young, a kid at our local skating rink.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember, Terry, of course, when I first saw you play, and I'd look up in the stands, and Keisha would just be sitting there watching you and cheering you on and supporting you, but didn't play. Wasn't it Keisha a few years before you kind of, maybe a year or so before you really started to play, out on tour?
Yep, that's absolutely correct. At USL, when we were in college, I was the only girl, and all the guys were really good, and I was slightly intimidated. But after a year or two, I pretty much got bored and said, okay, it's time to learn. So Terry started teaching me, and that was it. I've been playing ever since.
Wow. That is so cool. And
Yeah.
Keisha, so when you started playing, obviously, you were a little older than a lot of people who first get into this game. Was it difficult? I mean, being that age and getting into foosball?
Jeez.
That age. I was so old.
Right. Well, most start like your daughter when she's.
I don't think you meant it that way, Keisha.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Yes.
No, it wasn't too bad. I had an excellent teacher. Terry was very patient. Actually, all the guys in our area were awesome and were glad to help me, glad to have me play on their team. They didn't care that I was a beginner. Everybody was super patient,
Cool.
and I was just very lucky.
Right.
So, right into it. I mean, it was all good. Like I said, I had great lessons, and it paid off.
And do you remember the first time you actually went for a major competition, like a tournament that where you won?
Oh Lord, no, I don't remember that. I don't remember. I know that I was in finals, top 3 very early on.
Really?
Yep, I was. I know. I think it was the nationals. Maybe I played with Terry McCullough from Lafayette as well,
Mm-hmm.
and we did really well. We did well in several tournaments together. But no, gosh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
Who knows?
Maybe you and Shelly.
No, that was later.
That was later.
That was later. Yeah, I had babies at that point.
Yeah, which can get in the way a little bit, can't they?
Just only a hair, though. Yeah.
Especially when they're cooking up in the oven. Terry, got a question, man.
Yes, sir.
What's your fondest memory of Mark Wahlberg?
That's crazy. Yeah, that was all. That kind of was misrepresented. We had a group we opened up for Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. But the best part of it was a Mardi Gras weekend in Lafayette. So after the tournament, we got to show. I mean, after the concert, we got to show them around for the weekend and hang out with them.
Cool.
I just remember the accent a lot. It was kind of like Philbrook a little bit.
Yes.
A lot of playful banter.
Did you ever think he would go on and become an Oscar-nominated actor? Did that ever occur to you?
I still don't believe it. I don't believe it happened. It's like, that's it. Mark Wahlberg, Oscar nominated. There's no way. It's like
I know,
right?
The guy who had what underwear did he wear? He was an underwear model, Calvin Klein. Yeah.
Well, hey, it happens sometimes.
I gotta continue. One last thing: the dance aspirations. How did those? I love just taking the thing totally away from foosball. If you can't,
no, it's good. It's good,
dude. What happened with the dance aspirations? How did that go? Was it just like, you know what? I gotta become an anesthetist. I gotta do it. What happened? Where did that fall away?
I think age. The reality of it's a harsh business, as a lot of people. I don't know if you. I guess you would know this, but it's hit and miss, and it's all about the big break. And there's a lot of road work involved. We traveled the southern part of the United States for years and years, and we got lucky to do some big shows. But there's a lot of fight and struggle in between, and I just saw where that I needed more consistency. I knew that my body wouldn't hold up. It's a long haul, and you get older. Those things and little injuries.
I was an underwear model for 30 years, and I get that.
We're not, Mark. We're not. So for Terry, for you, it was your thing for quite a while. I mean, was there a point where where foosball and dancing kind of crossed over to where you were able to pay attention to both, or was the dancing then kind of led to the foosball? And maybe it also probably helped you, didn't it, in many ways as well? But it was dancing first, then foosball.
Yes, sir. But I still danced, and foosball was there. It just wasn't in the forefront at that point.
Yeah.
I guess one of the things, dancing got me in really good shape, but it made me really hyper when I played. Because I remember,
no way.
Yeah, I had energy to burn.
You did. No, and speaking of dancing, I think maybe the best dance. I know we've seen you dance many times over the years out in in the foyer, or even there in the pits on occasion. But right. I think the best dance I ever saw from you was when Sully and Delisa won the women's doubles world championship, and you're watching in the stands. We kind of have you in the background there, and you're so into it. Of course, how can you even keep your composure? But then the match ends, they win, and you kind of go nuts, and it was so much fun to watch. And what about your memories of that? And of course, obviously, we'll talk about your win with Rob and your other wins, and of course, what Keisha has done as well. But how special was that moment?
Yeah. So what a lot of people don't realize is we're kind of, you focused on your own tournament and matchups, and you're doing some self-study and what are the tendencies and trends of people at the tournament, and you're trying to figure these things out and navigate. Sully walks up to me and tugs on my shoulder. I remember this, and says, "Hey, Daddy, guess what?" And I said, "What, baby?" She goes, "We're playing for the winner's bracket." I was like, "Oh, good job," and I kind of walk away, and then I stop and I turn around and go, "Which winner's bracket?" And she goes, "Women's open doubles." And I was like, "No way." And so she goes, "We play the number 1 seed." And I said, "Where is it? I'm coming." So, they win the winner's bracket. And so now I'm trying to be dad to just kind of distract her. I don't want her to be thinking about, you got to wait around to play this final. Don't be nervous. And that was amazing in itself. Just I was waiting and feeling the anxiety, I guess, with her. It was kind of coupled together. But then sitting in the stands.
I didn't even see him, first of
Yeah,
all.
I had to hide. But the cool thing is I have, Tommy's by me, Rob Atha, McMillan, all of my friends, and then they're kind of sabotaging me by recording me. And they're all I can see them chuckling around, and I'm focusing on the match. And then when that ball goes in, I think I jumped 12 feet in the air.
Wow.
I think I jumped
Marky
over
Mark would have
Tommy.
been proud, buddy.
I didn't know I had the hop still in me,
Nice.
That is great.
And that's the thing. I mean, obviously you talked about it, how your preparation, how your focus on your game, on what was going on with you and singles, doubles, etc. And then of course she comes up and you say, "Oh, that's great, good, great." And then it dawned on you what was happening. But how can you have a wife that also is a world champion, you're a world champion, Sully, of course, Arden is eventually going to be one, I don't doubt. But how can you kind of spread your emotions over all of that and still be able to focus on your game or your, your partnership with your, with your partner, et cetera? Or does it take away from that a little bit?
No, it doesn't. You learn how to compartmentalize, and when you need to focus on a match, what's in front of you, you do it. After that, you can, I guess, look at what you did, what you can improve on, and then it's helping coach for family. And we all help each other. Keisha's probably my biggest fan, and she's always in my ear trying to improve my game, which is important because she's going to see things clearer and different ways than I will as you're focused on matches. And that helps. And then, you find Sully, hey, what do you think you need to work on? What's working, what's not working. And that's kind of how you go about it.
No, I think that this dynamic, of course, you've got a support system, which is really amazing. You've got to have a support system if you want to be successful at anything, of course. But Sullivan, I got to ask you the question. I know this is your first time on FoosTalk Live, as it is for your parents. But in front of the audience here, I got to ask you the question. When you were growing up in your household, now I remember being in my early teens. My parents were so uncool, so uncool. Did that ever happen to you? You kind of look at your folks and gotta go, "Oh man, I hope I don't end up like those guys."
No, I don't think like that at all. I think they're the coolest. I always have.
Wow. Okay. Are you just saying
Is
that?
is that what you text your friends as well?
Yeah,
Be
I'm
honest. Okay.
not just saying that either. I would tell them if I didn't think they were cool. But no, they definitely are.
Well, it's really, truly amazing. I do have to congratulate you on your success. You are a truly gifted player.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely gifted, but also, as we saw in the movie Foosballers, it's the work ethic as well, right, Sully? I mean, you put a lot of time into your game. Obviously, there are gifts. Obviously, you've had great direction, been playing a long time, but it comes down to really who works the hardest, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I definitely was set up good, but I had to put in the extra work to win.
And that seems to be paying off in certainly in every match you've been in. It seems. I mean, you never seem to give up. Is that part of your psyche?
Yeah, I mean, you have to play every ball like it's new. And I used to be bad at it. Like if I'm down a few points, I'd feel a little down. But now it's just you play every ball like it's all new. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. So you develop that inner language of just pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and get back at it again.
Yeah, exactly. And that helps me win a lot more than other stuff.
Wow. And to have this kind of philosophy, especially early on in your career like this, where do you see yourself in, I don't know, 5 years? What do you think?
Well, I want to start winning more men's events because my goal is to win my first women's singles, which I did get at Texas State at a major.
Yes.
I got a men's event, expert singles, and now I'm on to pro. I want to win pro singles this year.
That is cool. So
yeah, and she is totally capable of that as well, in my opinion. I mean, this is a young woman whose game transcends male or female. It's a game that I think you have the best push shot in the world, period. You have a great 5. Your transition game in singles is exceptional. It is plus. And all those indicators. And then it's just a matter of getting in there and competing and doing it on a regular basis and learning from each and every match, win or lose, that you play. And I think you're heading completely in the right direction. I'm sure Mark agrees as well.
So, how do you feel about me putting a target on your back? I'm dead serious. I'm about to tell.
She embraces it. Yeah.
I'm about to tell the world. I think that's why I have no problem. If I felt like you had this hugely intimidable personality, I would be hesitant. And I'd seek permission from your parents. But no, you're 18. I wouldn't now. But like, I'm about to announce, and it does not go over well. I'm telling you right now, there are Europeans listening right now. When I go and say I'm picking Sully to win the multi-table women's singles championship, there's gonna start a inferno.
Ooh.
In Europe. Yeah, I'm sure it will, but it doesn't bother me. I mean, it doesn't bother me.
All right. Hey, man, I've forewarned you. I think it'll bring the best out in you. It's gonna bring the best out of them.
I have to prove you correct now, so I'm gonna be practicing.
I love that.
Yeah. There you go. Even though it's Mark.
I'm so bad at this interview
thing. You're terrible.
I guess I asked a question. I said, "How do you feel about me?"
Well done. All right, I'm gonna ask one, Mark. I'm gonna ask one, and then you can come back. So start thinking about what you want to talk about. Right now I'm picturing Keisha. Right, Keisha is listening to her husband, who she of course loves, and her daughter, and she's just sitting back and listening and smiling. I know you, Keisha. Keisha did an amazing interview with me, and it's on InsideFoos.com. Back from Mother's Day, amazing performance by I thought, just beautiful. But I can picture you now. You enjoy this. You enjoy the success of your husband. You enjoy the success of your daughter. We know what a competitor you are as well. But which comes first? Is it your own personal satisfaction of winning, or and I think I know the answer here, or is it your daughter and your husband being as successful as they are as well?
That's a very difficult question.
Mm-hmm. Good. I'm glad.
I am extremely competitive. So I will always want to win. I'm always going to do my best, and I'm always going to give more than I probably even should. But as for always staying focused, that's a little harder for me. When they are up in big matches and I'm up, it is hard to stay 100% focused. I am always and always have been, and I probably always will be listening for Terry's loud scream, "Yes!" which let me know where his matches were going. And kind of the same thing for Sullivan. There's certain little things that I could hear that I know of. And it kind of just gives me a little relief while I'm playing. I don't think that it takes away from my game. Because once again, I know when I need to stop and focus 100%, and I can pull it out. But of course I want to see them succeed always.
Yeah, there are different dynamics in foosball, of course, playing with your husband. And of course, we played that flashback earlier when you guys won the 2015 Texas State Mixed Doubles Championship together. But then, there's also playing against your husband, which is a little bit weird. But then playing against your daughter. And we've now seen this on more than one occasion. We've seen it a few times. And you always compete hard. You both do. I'm not sure where you find that. I mean, that has got to be. I picture playing against one of my kids. It's tough enough playing against my wife, right?
Right.
How do you find the competitiveness? How do you, when you're playing against Sully, you're out to beat her. It's obvious. You're playing hard. Where does that come from? How do you find that?
Good question. It's extremely difficult. I hate it so much, and it sucks. So there.
Good answer.
Yeah, that's me. That's legit. No, I'm just kidding. It's very difficult, and if you notice, I generally keep my head down and I don't talk because I need to stay focused and looking down at the table and play the table and not the person. Because yes, it's very difficult to do that. But I'm not
Keisha,
gonna lay down, obviously.
Disrespectful if you didn't.
I'll help you out. Keisha. You got to look at her as a financial anchor on your weight on you for the next 5 years, and then you
Right.
just muster up the fury.
Always comes down to business with Toro.
Right. Yeah.
I got to ask Sully this question though, because there's some my audio.
Ignore it.
Okay, here's my question for you, Sully. So you play your dad so much that you must have tells and some tendencies on your dad.
Mhm.
Now you're playing against your dad, and you have a goalie. Are you going to tell that goalie how to block your dad? Are you going to give
Family secret.
away
Good
your
question.
dad's weaknesses? Yeah.
No, I actually wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
God.
If it came down to it, I'd switch. Sure, I'd switch and block, but I wouldn't tell anyone, any of my families.
Daddy's girl.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I play my kids in chess, and I told myself before I had kids, I said, one day I'm going to have kids. I'm going to play them chess. I'm never going to let them win. And that has not hold. I have $2. I've never beat them in chess. Won't dare beat them in chess. They beat me every single
Do you know what we do now, Mark? Let me interject. You know what we do with our kids now? We ask them before we play any game. We say, do you want us to let you win, or do you want to play our best? And we're going to leave it up to you. If you want us to let you win, hey, no problem. We'll let you win. Or do you want us to play your best? And thankfully, both my kids so far, it's play your best.
Really?
Much to their dismay, by the way.
Right. It does make it difficult.
Well, they asked for it.
But you got to keep going. That's the only way you're going to get better. It's the
Yeah.
only reason we got as good as we did, as fast as we did, because we had somebody at home beating us and making us so mad.
Still beating me.
That,
Yeah, Terry is secretly not a nice man. We know that.
No, he's not. Everybody's talking about how great he is, and like play him at home. It's terrible.
What do you say about that, Terry?
What's that?
What do you say about that? You're not really a nice guy.
I take my fair share of beatings as well. They're not interjecting about that. But Sully and I went at it today for a good hour, and the day before we played for about 2 hours.
Wow.
I think she's as good as you, Terry. I think she is as good as you now. I think she is.
You know, the funny thing is, like, I'll get home from work, and she looks at me, and we're like, all right, upstairs. We go upstairs, and it feels like I'm sipping water through a fire hydrant. It's a little much. The first 3 out of 5. I come down. I'm like, I need some water. Hold up. I'll be right back. And I go into the room. I'm like, Keish, this is too much, man. I'm going back.
Going in for more.
The long time out. Tom York does that against Tommy.
Exactly.
If Tom's getting wrecked, he'll win a game and he'll take off. He's like, I'm done. I'm not.
That's it. Yeah. Always.
Now, I gotta ask you the question, because you guys are really within the foosball community, and of course, I've noticed some newspaper articles about your family. Of course, you guys are featured in the Foosballers, the movie. I mean, you've met met just about everybody on the planet who plays foosball. What are the people around you, like your immediate family, who don't play foosball? What do they think of what you do?
I have a good example of what they think. On going to Spain this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not this year.
I mean, last year. Yeah.
I'm
I'm time warping here. We're getting ready to go to Spain early in the morning. I see this light flash by the window, and our family comes running in the house, yelling "USA, USA," screaming it, and I start shaking. I'm like,
wow,
yeah, y'all are the best ever. And they hand the tickets to us, and they're coming with us.
No,
that's
kidding.
what our family thinks about foosball.
Wow. They were just surprising us.
And they went to Spain to support us.
Oh my goodness,
that's cool.
That's the kind of support that we have from our family.
What a great ride for them as well, as they got to watch all three of you win gold medals. How about that?
You could see them in the crowd, on the live stream and stuff.
Yeah, they loved it, and they're coming to the next one and the next one. As long as we go, they're coming. But all of our families that way, they're at home supporting, watching all of our matches, watching the charts. You know, it's they're all in, and if they could be there for every match, they would be.
With the return of major foosball competition, FoosTalk Live headed out on the road twice in the last 6 months. First, to the 2021 Texas State Championships in Dallas during Memorial Day weekend.
FoosTalk Live is live all weekend at the Texas State Championships, the 30th year anniversary, and it's been just spectacular. and we are live with FoosTalk Live this evening, doing our normal show a little differently this time. Of course, we want to thank everybody who took the time to speak to us on the floor today. Aaron and Mike and Ben and Brad, and of course, we got a chance to talk to Sullivan and Maduri. Just terrific that they took the time to speak to us, and mighty happy to be here and enjoy the surroundings and, of course, the environment and the electricity in the air. It's hard for me to describe just by using my voice how extraordinary this room feels right about now, especially because Tommy Ure Jr. and Tony Spredeman are going at it in open singles. And Jim Stevens and Mark Torres, my partners, are doing the play-by-play right now on Inside Foos. So if you want to go over there and listen to the podcast at the same time, that's cool. It's a heated match. They're both giving it their all right now, and we'll keep you up to date with that. But as we move forward, we've got so much to do and so many people to talk to. In fact, we're very lucky to have one of the greatest players in this area, in the Texas region. He's also a coach for Team USA, for the guys who go across the seas and represent the USA. It's Ezekiel Iceman Marr. Welcome.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, man, it's great to see you, mate, to get a chance to meet you in person.
Yes.
We've talked a few times on the air, but never in the same room.
No, yeah, this is the first time. I have to say it's an honor to meet you.
Oh, yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
With your kind of background. So, Ezekiel, first of all, how many times have you gone to Texas State?
Wow. I guess the better question would be, how many times have I not gone to Texas State?
It's 3 decades, so okay.
Easily, oh my God. I've probably only missed 2 or 3.
Okay.
Only because the timing was bad. I think a couple of years at Texas State, they had it during the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
So for me, my family comes first. So
right.
Or maybe 1 or 2 times. Maybe I missed Texas State, and that's it.
That's it,
yeah.
Man. So do you remember the first one you went to?
Wow.
Hard to know for sure.
Well, that was probably the response that I had the first time I showed up at Texas State. But that was so long ago. That had to have been maybe 1988.
Yeah.
Or something
no kidding.
Like that.
Yeah. So fully 30 years prior.
Yeah.
And how have you seen it grown?
Exponentially.
Okay.
Leaps and bounds. I mean, the people that are here this weekend, I mean, considering what's been going on, I mean, from what Steve said, maybe 430-ish people.
No doubt.
That's what shows up at a major tour stop.
Yeah, no kidding. No, it's the kind of thing that in this day and age, of course, because the diminishment of the audiences and, of course, the number of players out there, we always have to kind of compare ourselves to the 1970s when, you'd get 1,000 people show up for a tournament, right?
Yeah.
Likely we may not see those numbers again, although it'd be great.
Yes.
But this weekend is pushing 450, I believe.
Yes.
So that's not too shabby.
No, that's not shabby at all. I mean, that was those years were before my time, but I think I came in during the second resurgence of Foosball.
Okay.
I was at that Worlds where ESPN was there, and they had pretty close, if not 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
200 foosball tables in one room.
Wow, 200?
It looked like a football field of
That's
foosball
astounding.
tables.
That's astounding. Wow.
And it diminished a little bit after that, but it seems to be making a little bit of a resurgence, especially with Texas State.
Seriously. Well, we're also very fortunate tonight to have another guest with us, standing in for Mark and Jim. We have none other than Brad Anderson is with us. So Brad, step on up to the microphone, man. We're
Am I on? Am I on? Is this thing working? Hello.
So Brad, how many times have you been here at Texas State?
How many times have I been here? I think the first time I came down here was maybe 2003.
Okay. It's a while ago.
I haven't missed too many.
Okay.
In fact, I really don't play anymore, and I still come down here because it's such a good time and it's such a great event. And Steve is such a great host, and he runs a great event. So I'm here to support it, and I'm here to hang out with Iceman and all the other guys. So these are my friends that I just don't get to see very often. And now with our past year, I've seen them even less.
Yeah. No.
So this is really fun. There's a lot of people I haven't talked to in a long time, and I've spent talking to. So it's been really fun.
By the way, both of you guys got pretty nice voices. Have you thought about doing professional broadcasting of any kind?
So you got jokes, right?
Well, I've thought about it once in a while.
So, and you both have had a reputation of joining Jim on occasion, correct?
Yeah, at one time.
We've done our time.
Yeah, at one time I was a full-time member of Inside Foods.
Yes.
We consider ourselves Inside Foods Classic.
Yeah, we're the OGs. Inside Foods OG.
Yeah.
I am honored to be in your presence. That to me is a royalty, right? You know?
Well, ooh.
So
it's a very small country, but yeah.
Labor Day weekend found the FoosTalk Live team set up at the 2021 Tornado Championships in Lexington, Kentucky.
Once again, for the FoosTalk Live Top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now, here is Jim Stevens and Adam Gilson and Clay Toomey.
Clay, take it from here, buddy.
I think y'all trust me way too much. I'm just making this up on the spot. The top 5 list for tonight is the 2020 to 2020. We're going with 2020 like that's a real weird. That's a weird year.
No, that's a good setup.
The 2021 Tornado Championship top 5 Foos fiction moments of the week.
Fiction moments. Now that's a challenge, guys.
Foos fiction.
Foos fiction. So you know what Foos is. You know what fiction is.
Right.
What's your top 5 moments of the weekend?
Foos fiction moments. All right. Well, I'm going to launch it. Let's see what happens.
FoosTalk Live Top 5.
Number.
So going into this weekend, and we haven't been talking about it. We're having a good time here, but COVID is a huge thing this weekend, and but I think people are feeling good. They're feeling safe, and I think it's been nice. And the thing that I've been really happy with seeing this weekend was everybody's respect for personal boundaries. And my favorite thing was that I didn't see somebody take their Dasani, their empty bottle of Dasani water, and stick it straight over the spigot to fill their water from the communal water dispensers. To me, it was huge not to see that. And Clay, thanks for bringing this up, because I have felt very safe the rest of the time as I've been doing shots of hand sanitizer. Thank you.
with a chaser of Clorox, I take it.
No, it was shampoo. But that's another story.
Jim, okay, he's giving us.
That's your number 5 moment. Wow.
Number 5 moment.
My number 5 is similar to his. It's the fact that it was incredibly surprising to walk in here, to walk into the big ballroom, to walk out here into the pits, and more than 500 players here, and 97% of them were wearing masks.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
Wow.
And the fact that the doubles events, you do have to stand 6 feet away from your partner, which I thought was remarkable. How are they doing that? And yet still being able to compete, wearing masks, standing 6 feet apart. I was surprised to see it here in Kentucky. I really was.
A feat.
What an extraordinary start to an amazing top 5.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 4.
So there's a guy that I saw playing in expert singles, and when he actually got his first match called 10 years ago, he's just skin and bones at this point. I mean, he's not there. Actually, it looked like if you ever watched Pirates of the Caribbean and you ever look in that like cave where they've got the treasures, and there's just some guy that's got like rings that are covering bones, and they're just holding a cutlass. Well, that's him, and it was just nice to see how fast he got to the table. And again, it's just, I don't know. It's just an amalgam of beauty.
Are you talking about something about the organization and the amazing timing of the matches coming through at the right moment? I mean, is that what you're trying to refer to?
Tom, I'm not talking about too much here, but I will say that the intensity of which a player will not show up at their match has been a beautiful reminder of, if you don't give a shit.
Gas factor?
People don't give a shit. And it's heartening. I mean, I will have a blog post about this tomorrow night, if not tonight.
Look at Jim's face. We're going to need a man.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, and it was 2021. Take all the time you need. Tornado Championship.
Jim, your turn.
One of the most remarkable things I've seen this weekend was the open singles final. where Sullivan Rue is competing against her dad, Terry Rue. Now, who would have thought that Sullivan and Terry would both reach the final of open singles?
Right.
And it went down to the final. It went into overtime. They're still actually playing in overtime here this weekend in open singles. It is not.
Right.
It's win by
Terry
2.
looks really relaxed, though.
It's win by 2, but there is no ceiling. So it's right now it's like 65-64. And they are continuing to play over on table number 3. We've actually given up on commentating it. I said, it's enough. Once they got to 30-29, I said, that's enough.
Yeah. You got to have your boundaries.
So
I respect that.
For me, it's the Roos playing in the open singles
I'm
final.
sorry, I have to call this for stats. Clay, how would you rate that on the shall we say made up scale?
Well, I think it's pretty strong. I'd give it a 9 out of 11. I think that the very important factor that he left out there is that there was an issue. There's a rules question.
Yep.
Terry is a top official, but in that moment he's a player, not an official. So they actually had to call Keisha in to ref the rest of the match.
And that was so good. The pictures we took for that was so nice.
Are those up at Facebook yet?
No, we still have to put those through
waiting.
post-op. Wait,
We're waiting to clear waivers on those. Actually,
Oh, man, I think we got to hear what's up next.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 3.
Let me just play off this whole COVID thing, and I hate to bring it up because I know it doesn't exist anymore. But the big thing for me was the.
Oh my God! Oh. Go on, sir.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I got a little emotional just thinking about this when I was in the bathroom earlier, and all the men were washing their hands and washing each other's hands. It's just, I'm sorry to do this to you guys, but it was huge. So, yeah, I'm gonna just let that. That's it. That's all I got.
Oh no. Oh, Jim.
I'm going to try to bring this back to foosball and really be serious about this. For me, the biggest thing of the weekend was the expert singles final, where 7-year-old Sam DeJean faced Ryan Moore in the finals. Sam was not standing on a platform. Ryan was.
Yeah, but you're bearing the lead. Ryan Moore was holding him with his left hand while playing across the table because he's that big.
But anyway, went right down to the wire. In fact, they're still playing. It's 67-65.
Oh, yeah.
And they're still playing over on table number 4.
That's that win by 3, 67-65. win by 3.
Now you expect me to speak next. I guess, okay. Let's move on.
Are we continuing with this? Is this still going?
Yes.
Number 2. FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 2.
If we want this sport to grow, the most important thing is that we continue to let those that are older continue to get older and be better at what they do in this tiny little vacuum and box in which they live. And the thing that I found most heartening this weekend was the lack of children that were here. There was no kids. There was no really cute pictures of a little girl named Lily Grace playing Paul Smith. None of that. It was just great to see the lack of kids. And seriously, what's nice is to be able to walk around the tournament hall and not have my feet stuck to the floor because of taffy wrappers and all the weird stuff that kids do. And then the little sticky handshakes. And it's like, I have a 4.5-year-old at home. I don't go to tournaments to deal with that. Anyways, that's just off the top of my head. Number 2.
It's a good number 2.
I guess, Jim, you probably shouldn't go to the same restaurant with your kids when Adam is there. You probably just shouldn't do it.
It isn't
Definitely
about the kids.
don't take them to the Gilson daycare
It is.
Yeah, the daycare is in quotes on the sign.
Oh, man. Okay. Jim?
I got nothing.
And I got rage.
Adam is somebody to start talking about sticky fingers and such. Because have you ever worked with Adam Gilson up here in the booth and having to share a microphone with him?
Oh,
yes.
That is difficult.
I'm not sure where the stickiness comes from. But anyway, I got nothing. Let's move on.
Why not? Let's go to the top.
FoosTalk Live proudly presents
the top 5.
Number 1.
Let's burn this place down.
Well, Jim, ad hominem attacks aside, thanks for that, by the way. My favorite moment, beyond seeing no kids here, and just, the fact that COVID is no longer here with us, the thing that really excites me was that moment where everybody was in the bleachers for that open singles final last night, and there were so many Coors Lights and Bud Lights up there at the same time that it created this like black hole of crappy beer, and everybody that drank them fell into it. And even though there's only 7 players left this weekend, it really makes me glad to be an IPA drinker, which has been the takeaway since we met at Nationals a couple months ago. So thanks for that. That's my top one.
Oh, that's a good one. My top one. And, I didn't expect this. You know how I do these. I do these intros, right, for every open final, right? I get up there and do the boxing type intros.
Yes.
Well, Mary Moore, the promoter here of IFP, surprised me. She brings in the USC marching band, and right before the open singles final starts, this big orchestra, this band starts marching through the tubas and everything, playing music. And I tried to do my intro. They couldn't hear me; it was so loud. But it was just magnificent to see the USC marching band all the way here in Lexington as they came through.
I have visions of the Music Man all of a sudden.
Yeah.
76 trombones.
Right. But then they went to that critical mass. They fell in that critical black hole mass of Coors Light, Bud Light. And you know what? It is what it is.
Oh, that is absolutely the worst top 5 we've ever done. Thanks, everybody.
Nobody has laughed as hard as they just laughed.
Oh, my God.
I have a couple of honorable mentions. I don't know, Tom, if you do too.
Yes,
I was hoping that Tom would also have some. First of all, I'll say both of you. If I made a top 5 list, you covered most of what would be on that list.
Yeah, because it was all true and real.
I particularly mentioned too. So
I think the most, again, just to reiterate how fascinating it was to walk into the men's restroom and just see each other washing each other's hands.
Yeah.
It was pretty nice.
Seriously.
For me,
in the
I
mirrors
think
too. There's mirrors in there. You could see it like twice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
With all that's happened in the last 12 months, we at FoosTalk Live are pumped for the future. Not only for our podcast, but for the sport of foosball. Returning this Tuesday is the 2nd episode of the brand new interview show, Shooting the Shot with Clay Toomey. Thanks for taking the time to look back and reflect on the last 12 months of FoosTalk Live. Here's to many more great memories yet to be made in professional foosball. Thanks for tuning in to FoosTalk Live. FoosTalk Live is a product of Inside Foos, all rights reserved. Brought to you by Protectoflex, 518 Prince, Foosballers the Movie, the USTSO, and Foosball Clubs USA. FoosTalk Live will be back. In the meantime,
we'll see you foozin'.